All right, guys. Yeah. What is up, guys? Welcome to this video. Chad here. I'm excited to make this video. This is exactly how to make your first cash as an SDR or an appointment center. Gonna be a full guide here, okay? Now, I'll preface this. This video is gonna be more oriented around actual logistics of making your first money in the role and what it looks like to actually do the role successfully when you start. So if you're looking for a video on how to break into this, there's another video that I'll put up on screen, either left or right top of the screen right now, where you can learn more about the process of breaking in. But in this video, my goal is to show you guys how I became a top performer, and this is just a little of who I am. Fairly quickly, I crushed ramp my first literally month in the role, hit like 375% as a BDR. I've ranked globally among hundreds and hundreds of people. I've taken even the setter role alone to 6 figures and even had outlier 10K months with this skill, right? So if you don't know what this stuff is, I talk a lot about my channel about sales and building a life of independence, right? And so what I believe and what has given me the foundations for the life I have now, where I'm able to travel and I have my own place and I can, I have something that I can lean on to give me finances whenever I need to, which is the skill of sales. And it's the number one skill I believe that helps people build independence and build a life of sovereignty, right? So I talk a lot about that on my channel, and what it's given me is the foundations to be able to work remotely, build thousands and thousands of dollars in income while building skills, and on the side, working on my passion projects, which are business avenues or music and the things that I like doing as my long-term vision, right? And so that's this is really what saved me from working minimum wage jobs or just being stuck somewhere where I didn't resonate, where I was just doing some like admin work. And this helped me kind of break out and branch out, become a different person basically. So if this is something you're interested in, this is going to talk about the first stage of this skill. And so that brings me to the next section, which is, what is an SDR, an appointment setter? Okay, so when you learn the skill of sales, right? I'm not talking about like real estate sales. I'm not talking about like in-person door-to-door. I'm talking about remote sales, okay? And in the remote sales space, the main entry level role that you're gonna do to do sales remotely, which is basically where you're working from your laptop, from your home, wherever you are, it's called a setter role, or said otherwise SDR or BDR. Now there's two main spaces in the remote sales space that are like the most prevalent for these roles. One is tech and one is high ticket sales. So you may see these things online, and my goal is to shed clarity for you guys and make no guesswork in all of this for you. But I've been both a tech sales BDR and SDR, and also a top performer in high ticket sales as well, as I've been a closer and also as a setter, right? So the differences between those industries is, what I've found after my own personal experience and with the amount of people in my network and I've chatted with about this, is for beginners, and this is where I started, in tech sales it's going to give you more breathing room. It's going to help you, in my opinion, learn the skill a bit faster without having the stress of pure commission. So the high ticket sales space most of the time is going to be more commission based, where you're making like 3% of a deal that closes that you set. And I'm going to talk about all the logistics, but for tech, I mean, you can not even have ever set a meeting before and you can already be getting paid your first few months just being on ramp, because of the way that the tech companies are structured, right? I like them for beginners, and this is what took me to 6 figures and even 10K a month in just a little over a year. But it was a great foundation to have the stable income and right off the bat be making good money, like 5 to 6K a month, even just without even booking meetings yet. And so this is just like the structure of it, right? So it depends on your values and who you are, but it can be a little stressful if you get into the high ticket space and you don't have the skills yet, and then just to rely on a pure commission, it can be a little hard. But that said, what we're going to talk about in this video is how to make your first cash in either, right? And it's actually the same process, right? The essence of it all is booking meetings. So I'm going to talk about that. But what I want you to understand is setter versus closer. Now, this is the first thing you need to understand if you're getting into the remote sales space and you want to make your first money. So setters are what I'm describing here. It's the entry level role, the first role that you're going to do in sales remotely, where basically what you're doing is you're calling people. This is a phone, guys. We're going to do some art today. It's going to be fun because I am just in a weird mood right now and I don't know what it is. So setters, you're basically calling people. So you're selling in either role. So setters usually call people and book meetings with the closer. This is going to be like a meeting invite, like a calendar. Okay, what does the closer do? They take the calls that you set for them and they close the deal, if it makes sense. So it's basically the same thing. I like to think of a setter as just doing a mini version of closing, and the closer doing the more expanded version of just getting all the logistics that need to be covered in terms of them moving forward with your solution, whatever that is. Okay, so the essence of the whole remote sales space is you just work for companies or teams that have a service that they're providing, and you basically just help be on the forefront of making the transactions of people committing to go through the service to solve their problems. So the setter is at the forefront of that, which is why it's actually pretty cool. So you're basically just calling people, which you do out of your laptop in what's called like a CRM. I'll talk more about that. And you're booking it for a closer who closes the deal. So what you're closing is the meeting. And that's actually a much simpler task to do from the start as a beginner, right? Now, you always work your way up to a closer, and I did this and I fast-tracked it with the skills that I had as a setter. But yeah, that's just the logistics. The setter, you're closing the meeting, you're seeing if it's worth chatting with them, and then getting them on a call, where the closer closes the deal. Okay, that's the simplest way I can put setting versus closing. Both of them, do them remotely from your laptop, make a ton of money with it, okay? The first thing you need to understand, let's say I'm envisioning you getting into maybe you haven't gotten in yet, and that's totally fine. Maybe you have gotten into your first role and you're just trying to figure out how the ropes work. Either way, regardless of the industry, there's going to be a mixture of inbound versus outbound usually. Now, what is inbound and outbound? Inbound is leads that come to you from whatever marketing they do. Like a lot of companies will do YouTube videos, or they'll put out live trainings or blog posts. And what happens is people will start clicking on them, right? It's like attracting leads to the company. And sometimes there'll be some call to actions, like book a call, or sometimes there'll be call to actions of some sort, book a call or inquire to chat with our team. And that's an inbound lead. That's one that comes to you. Now, as a setter, you're usually still on the forefront of that, calling them. And I'm going to give you my call script, by the way, for free. And this is the script that literally I used my entire period. The same script I used to make 6 figures and more, guys, calling people. And it's what allowed me to actually crush my account executive ramp and blow past literally hundreds of people, because of my ability to do what the setting skill is generate meetings, generate deals. If you can open it, you can close it. So this is why this is the foundational piece that you don't want to skip, guys. You don't want to skip it. Okay, but inbound is when the leads come to you, and that's a different type of, they're a little warmer. It's gonna be easier to chat with them and book the meeting because they're already interested. Outbound is when you're finding people, and there's, it's not just like finding anybody. Like if I have apples to sell, I'm not just gonna sell apples to people who are carnivore. like I'm not just selling to everybody, right? Because it wouldn't make sense. They're not gonna even buy apples anyways. Why would I call them? So this is the whole strategy of not wasting your time calling people that aren't a good fit for the service, right? And that good fits look different for every service. But outbound is just finding people. Sometimes companies will give you lists of people that are good fits. Sometimes you can find them out on LinkedIn, find different companies. And that's when you actually go, you send them emails and you just call them and be like, hey, I noticed X, X, and X, and I'm gonna walk through that. But that's the difference between inbound and outbound. Inbound is coming to you. Outbound, you're going to them, okay? So let's talk about the alchemy of the booked meeting. I like this, guys. We're getting, I like it. I like the theme that I'm rolling with here. So alchemy of the booked meeting. Let's talk about the logistics. So you're making calls out of a CRM. If you don't know what a CRM is, it's the customer relationship manager. It's basically a software that allows you to keep track of your contacts that you're in touch with as a sales rep. Okay, so you're basically calling out of that. You don't. Oh, I've had cases where I wasn't in the best role and I was having to use my cell phone to call, but guys, that's not my goal for you. You don't need to do that. You can find a company that has structure, training, development. This is what I help people with in my one-on-one mentorships as well, by the way, which there's a link in the first link in the description can take you to check out that if you feel like called to check it out. But yeah, the customer relationship manager is basically you just have a software on your laptop where you call people. And once you get on the phone with people, you speak to them over the phone, chit-chatting, and then you qualify them. I'm going to explain what that is. Then you book it, and then you earn your first money, okay? Usually there's different commission structures. So in tech, usually you get paid a base pay, which is why I think it's so much better for beginners because you can already start getting paid. And then they always have more trainings usually to like really help you master, like they have training programs to help you master the skills. So I think it's super good just for a beginner to take float. And the better you get at the skill, that's where the money's gonna come from anyways, long term. It's not always about the industry. But for an absolute beginner, I really just think tech is the way. But yeah, these skills, guys, they've put me in places where now I have the skills and I can go wherever I want, and it's helping me in business, it's helping me in anything. I have more confidence, competence to be independent, and I have a skill. Whereas if you're just in like an hourly job, and if you're just in like a traditional minimum wage job or something of that nature, like you're not actually honing a skill that you can take, you see? It's not actually developing you into a person who can sell his ideas or sell their ideas or be able to influence people or, understand how business works because everything is sales, right? So you qualify, book, and you earn. Now, usually like high ticket, you may be getting like 3% around there of commission for the deals that close that you book. Sometimes there's a base pay, not always. But again, I think tech, you're gonna be a lot smoother. In tech, usually you get a base pay. It's somewhere around like starting can look like anywhere from like 50 to 60 base pay, 60K a year base pay, 50 to 60. And then on top of that, you have the commission, which is called OTEs. That's on target earnings. And that is basically your commissions, right? So you can make anywhere, usually on target earnings for the first role, give you in total like 70 to 75K per year, which is like around $6,000 a month. It's very good. And yeah, you usually get paid per meeting that you set, and then like maybe a little more on the meetings that close in some cases, right? So there's different structures, but it doesn't really matter. Booking meetings gets you paid, okay? So let's talk about strategy now. So I have a free script that I made for you guys before this. If you check the second link in the description, that's how you can go grab this script. You don't need to do it now because I'm gonna literally jump to the page. But check it out, it's free, and literally if you take this into your setter role when you land it, or if you're in one now, this is really gonna simplify it for you guys. I mean, the biggest thing that I did as a top informer was simplify things. And I just had one document that had like a script and some email templates, and I just ripped it, guys. I'm gonna talk about, and at the end of this video, if you stick to it, I'm gonna tell you how I became a top informer so quick. But yeah, let's move to the script for this to talk about strategy. All right, guys, cold call script. Now, I don't like the word cold call, okay? Let me just orient this so you guys can see me. I don't like the word cold call. Why? Because if you're good enough at this skill, it's never gonna be a cold call. What do I mean by that? I'm gonna show you how to make a call feel warm. You never should be calling people out of the blue without anything to say or without knowing what the hell you're doing. Okay, that's when people feel that icky salesperson tactics. And that's why this space gets a bad rap in terms of salespeople and cold calling. It gets a bad rap because everybody gets those shitty cold calls from people who are like, taxes, or you can, get this, like just shitty scripts. Like everybody experiences that and they think that this profession is sleazy. But in reality, those are just people doing a shitty job at what literally is at the forefront of helping the economy run, okay? So there's a way to do this professionally and nicely. So the first thing we do is the opener, okay? What does this sound like? So I always start with like, hey name, this is Chad calling from company. And then you pause. This is a pattern interrupt. And what that does, most people just when they pick up the phone, they get like, blah, 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 I'm calling you because X, 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 X. You can't just be another, sleazy person in their brain. You have to give them pattern interrupt. And so this is the best way to do it. Hey, name, it's Chad over from company. It's Chad over calling from company. Pause. And they're like, huh? What? And then you go into the next section, which is reason for calling. Okay, I'm simplifying this, guys, for you so much. Now, this is going to be different. Okay, there's going to be two types of reasons for calling. It's going to vary a little bit. It all depends on the context of the lead and if they're inbound and if they're outbound. Okay, so an inbound one, again, like I said before, where they came to you, maybe they inquired and now your job is to call them and see if it's worth booking for a closer. You may say, after you do the opener, yeah, I know I'm reaching out totally out of the blue, so I'll be brief, but yeah, I saw you were checking out one of our resources and just wanted to reach out. Typically, the people that are looking into some of our stuff usually struggle with, and then this is where you just plug in the top 3 problems that your solution solves, right? Because usually you're calling people who are likely to have those problems. So I usually just plug it in, and then you say, so yeah, just wondered if you had a minute or two to see if you were experiencing any of that and if it might be worth having a conversation where we can potentially point you in the right direction, right? That gets everything out. It's so clear and crystal clear. They'll hear the problems and they'll either resonate or they won't. And then you're giving them the intention for your call, which is to see if it might be worth having a conversation with a closer. You're not going to say closer on the call, but this is the easiest way to open it, right? Now the outbound call may sound like, yeah, I know I'm reaching out of the blue, so I'll be brief, but yeah, I did some digging into your company and I noticed this is where you call out a specific observation. This is how you turn it into a warm call. Imagine if someone calls you and they're like, yeah, I did some research. I saw that you went to this car wash the other day and I looked through the files and it looks like you didn't really have the best time. I was wondering if your car's still dirty and if it's worth maybe seeing if we could kind of clean it up for you. That's just an example, guys. I'm not selling car wash, but that is way better than like, hey, we have the best car wash in the nation and I don't know anything about you, but do you have a car? Do you want to wash it? Like, it's different, guys, you see? So this is how to do it. So a specific observation, there's different examples. Like in the B2B space, you could say like, I know your team has been growing quite a bit. Usually when teams are growing, there's a lot going on in the background regarding, and then you list the problems your solution helps, right? Now every software or every solution has different problems they solve for. So the biggest thing you can do to simplify this whole thing for yourself is just find out the top 3 things your solution solves for, and that can help you understand what observations to look for that may indicate that they have those problems, right? Like if it's a software that helps teams hire, you may look at teams that are growing that don't have a lot of employees, and you may call that out and be like, hey, we have hiring software, right? This is a hiring software example. Hey, I noticed that your team's been growing over the years. In the recent year, X%, you can find like some stat. I also noticed that the team is quite slim. Usually when people are at the stage of growth that you guys are at, they're usually looking for ways to hire high quality, teammates, and they don't really know how to find that. Is that something you're experiencing at all, right? Like that's how you would do it, you see? And that's a warmer call because I'm saying that I see them, right? So let's skip past that because in B2C, so the high ticket sales space is a lot of times B2C is prevalent more there than tech. But you could say like, I noticed last year you checked out one of our videos. Usually people watching that are struggling with X, Y, Z. You just plug in the problems that your solution solves. I know it's been some time since you checked that out. Usually when you're doing outbound calls, it's like you're calling lists where they maybe showed interest at one point and they're now colder, and you call them, but you can use that to make it warmer and be like, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I did check that out like a year ago. So so then you go on to be like, yeah, I know it's been some time, but just wanted to reach out, see if there's any interest, see if you're still having any of those problems, and if it might make sense to have a quick conversation. Right, this job is easy, guys. Anybody can do this job. I promise you. I've seen people who are just baristas, restaurant workers. I've personally been one of those, and they, no sales experience, no training. If you just learn how to have a good conversation with people and just simplify your script, like you can do this, guys. Anybody can do this. So once you get past the reason for calling, you then go into discovery, right? And so the whole essence of all this, guys, is I'm teaching you how to book your first meeting so that you can get paid. Now, if you're in tech, you're already going to be getting paid because usually there's a ramp. But yeah, high ticket, you're going to want to be able to make some cash right off the bat and be able to do this. So discovery is, all sales is just finding problems. Okay, so when we talk about the discovery call, what we're doing is we're just trying to get them to open up about a problem. Why? Because a problem is all we need for a sale. You can't just sell someone something who doesn't have a problem. Every sale is made because somebody wants something. Somebody currently doesn't have something that they want, and that's a problem. So what we need to do is we just need to poke at them until they open up about a problem that we can solve. Okay? That's all you do. So on the call after that, then you open up. You just ask them open-ended questions. This is the way to do it. You can ask them, are you experiencing any issues with X? Again, it can be something that is a problem that your software solves, your solution solves. How long has that been going on? You can ask them that. Try and get them to see how big the problem is, because that can motivate them more to want to explore a solution. And that's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're trying to generate interest so that they want to get on a call with you guys, right? What does that currently look like for you, right? You can ask this to get some impact. Like you can all you're trying to do is expand the scope of the problem that they have and help them see how big it really is, or just find out if it's big enough for it to be even worth a call for your solution, right? So you can ask them how has that been affecting your day to day, right? Like, oh, you know what? Now that you say that, Chad, it's been affecting you pretty bad. Like, yeah. And on the call, in the moment, you're getting them to open up, and it's striking their it's pulling on their emotional strings a bit so that they're going to want to explore a solution, right? That's how you get somebody on a call. That's the psychological aspects of it. People usually, before finding out about this, are like, how the hell am I going to just call someone out of the blue and get them on a call? This is how, right? So once they've shared a problem, once you've amplified the pain, it's gonna make it more likely for them to show up. Okay, so then we get into qualifying. Now this is don't overcomplicate this. Okay, once you get a problem and you get them to open up about it, you go into qualification. You say, amazing. Well, yeah, this is exactly what we help people with. And yeah, I'm sorry to hear that you've been struggling with that for a while. And yeah, I'd love to see if it makes sense to chat with one of our team members where we can actually walk you through how we're helping people with that specifically. And then this is where you go into qualifying to see if it actually makes sense to do that. Now, a good framework to understand, and this is going to help you if you go into interviews, is BANT. This is one of the most popular qualifying frameworks. Qualifying basically just means, okay, let's see if this is worth our time. Let's see if we can actually help them before getting on an hour call with a closer, right? Sometimes people don't have the money. Sometimes people's timeline is way off where they just they're on vacation for the next 8 months. It doesn't even make sense to meet now. Sometimes they don't have a need, which you've already qualified for if you've talked about problems. And then authority, maybe they're just an employee instead of someone who can actually make a decision on something like this. Or in B2C, if they're just if they're reliant on their parents for money. So you have to qualify these things. Now, it's not complicated. Sometimes you already feel them out a little bit, and it's not the biggest deal if their timeline isn't perfect when they get on a call. It's just about feeling them out, seeing if it's worth the time. So I usually like to just qualify for timeline and budget mainly, just to be super simple. So yeah, amazing. Well, look, everything I'm hearing, it's exactly what we do. And yeah, if you're open to it, I'd love to see if we can get you on a call with one of our specialists where they can kind of walk you through deeper into how we're helping people specifically with X and Y. And yeah, if everything makes sense, they can kind of walk you through what that looks like to work with us. But yeah, are you even in a position to explore something like this at this time? Or maybe would it make sense to chat later? This is qualifying for time. They may spill the beans and be like, I'm in Mexico for the next 5 years, right? In that case, it's all right, let's follow up from 5 years. That would be tough. But budget, you can say, yeah, how has the team invested in things like this in the past? Or in B2C, you can be like, yeah, is this something you have finances set aside for, or is that something you're going to have to kind of figure out? And they'll usually open up about I honestly, I have $100 in my bank account. In that case, you don't want to get them on a call with a closer because you're not going to make money. You're going to piss your closer off, and it's not going to work out for both of you, right? And yeah, the way to be a top performer is to book quality meetings that lead to deals. Like, that's it, guys. So speaking of booking meetings, the last part of the call is actually booking the meeting, right? So this is where we go, great, well, amazing. Well, that's good to hear. Like, let's say they qualified, everything's good. Well, cool, I have my calendar up. I'd love to put you with, and then you put the name of the closer or account executive. They've been working, and then you hype them up a bit. They've been working in the space for X years, literally help people with exactly what you're talking about. I think you guys are gonna have a great call. Do you have any time tomorrow at like any time between 12 to 3? We currently have that open, right? So this is where you just get like literally just get their email while you're on the phone with them, put the meeting on the calendar, and yeah, just then let your AE know, hey, I got you a fire meeting with this guy tomorrow at this company, or just with this person tomorrow. Here's some notes on it. Good luck. Let me know if you need anything, right? And then the closer takes that, and that's how you make your first commission, right? That's how you make your first money, right? Usually you'll get paid to even just set the meeting if they show up, but in some cases. But that's how to do it, guys. That's the role, and that's literally it, right? From there, you just, like, usually people have, you know, they're scared that they can't even do it, but hopefully this instilled a little more confidence in you that, yeah, this is possible. You can absolutely do this. It's not that hard. And yeah, usually you can book like 1 meeting a day, 1 to 3 meetings a day. You're going to be doing really nicely. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the logistics of booking a meeting. Now let's go to accelerating to being a top performer. Okay. Now I've been a top performer. I've ranked crazy numbers. Just do a few things, and I just want to share and spill all the secrets to you guys, because I used to run trainings for new hires, and I was selected, out of hundreds of people to train new hires and be a mentor for people within the roles that I've been in, both in high ticket sales and in tech sales. Okay. This is my specialty. The biggest thing is mindset. Okay. Mindset. Guys, a lot of people have this mindset of scarcity. It's hard, like this can be a hard role because you face rejection, okay? But the way to work around that is to realize, don't get hung up on when somebody's giving you bad energy on the phone. There's so many people out there that are struggling right now with the problems that your solution solves. And that can be purposeful as well if you're in somewhere which you're passionate about, which, by the way, I help people align roles that they actually care about, so they're not just doing something that they don't see how it contributes to their long-term vision. Okay, but the mindset's key. So whenever you're on a call, you want to just make that next call, and hopefully it's the person who actually has the problem that your solution can solve, right? And in those cases, those calls are easier because they actually appreciate that you called them, and if you're doing it right, they'll feel like grateful that you called. Okay, I've had many times when I've been cursed out over the phone, and then other times when it's been like people were genuinely grateful that they picked up the phone. Okay, and that's the beauty of this role, right? The second thing is consistency. Okay, guys, you don't have, like, a lot of people worry about quotas and all this stuff. Guys, if you just focus on the present moment each day and just focus on the day at hand and just doing the simple tasks, which are basically call people, email people, and learn something each day. Listen to a top performer, right? That's exactly what I did when I started. I was just listening to top performers on the phones and what they did. And that's how I was so successful, because a lot of people were just learning about it or reading books. There's value in books. A lot of the books on my shelf are actually very good, but I didn't use books to crush it. I didn't need them. Okay, that's just kind of like to understand, expand your awareness. Listen to the people who are already doing well. That's going to get you so far. And then be consistent with your activities. So every day I was just doing 3 things: calling people, emailing people, and learning something, listening to top performers' calls, or connecting with a top performer, right? That's all I did. That's basically like the 80-20s of the role if you want to get into like the Pareto's principle. And the more I did that in my day, the easier it was to stack days where I was just crushing it. A lot of people get lost in checking Slack and doing all these different things and reading stuff. And like, I think the quickest way to do it is that. Okay. And then the third thing about accelerating to being a top performer is you got to have a why. Okay. People get into sales for all kinds of reasons, but the people who really crush it, they have a deeper reason why they're in sales, right? And this is the whole essence of my channel as well. There's a deeper reason why you're getting into sales if you resonate with what I'm talking about here. And it's because you want to build a better life. You want to be independent. Maybe you're entrepreneurial. You want to build a business one day. Maybe you don't want to just work a job where you're not learning any skills. Sales is a high income skill. It's a leverage skill because you're actually learning something. The better you get at it, the better you get paid, the more freedom you have, because as a salesperson, you have so much more leverage to do things. What is leverage? Leverage is like, for example, an hourly job where you're just typing in keys in a keyboard. You're not actually building anything that you can take to do something else. Sales, you have skills where it's helping you in every area of life. If you want to start a business, you'll know how to get floating with that. If you you want to have good relationships, you can understand people better. And if you want to, if you just want to be a good communicator in general, I mean, communication, human beings, understanding human psychology, like that's what sales is going to help you do. So it's a meta skill. But anyways, having a deep why and then keeping track of it, remembering it, that's going to be the biggest thing, guys. All right, so good training today. I enjoyed the heck out of this one. The last thing I'll say is I just recently opened up some slots for my one-on-one mentorship. I can't help everybody due to bandwidth, but there's a few slots still left. If you want to check it out, again, first link in the description. This is where I'm helping people in a very deep way. It's not just a course. It's literally me hopping on calls with you, understanding where you're at, making sure that you're aligned to what your goal is, and giving you the specific action plans and walking it through with you, holding your hand, taking the right steps, right? So that's what my one-on-one mentorship's for. Check out the second link if you want to grab that free script as well that I mentioned before that you can really use for anything. And yeah, I think that should be it. If you want to check out more on learn more about just like the sales in general and how it actually saved me and took me out of like the place I was in where I was living in my parents' basement, check out this video either on this side or this side. I'll see you in another one. I'm out for now. Take care. Peace.